time for a bit of football therapy now with my good friend Nubaid, who is a Liverpool fan and is hot off the back of 2 defeats at Anfield. And I would like to start with a little, I hope you're okay, to a friend of mine called Liam, who took his son to his first ever game at Anfield.
That's sad.
Against Atalanta, and they got pumped 3-0, which I think is good for him. Because it's character building, and that is the ups and downs of football. So many ups for Liverpool over the years in European competitions. This would be right up there. And in terms of challenges, of course, they've done it so many different times, and maybe we should actually have a bit of a look at the sort of the history of Liverpool in terms of how on earth they overturn a 3-0 deficit at half-time in this leg against Atalanta, because it is away from home. Let's start off with that. Like, how big of a problem is that? The fact that, the second leg in terms of resolving this and solving it in a way that's successful for you guys isn't at Anfield.
More often than not, the big Champions League nights land at Anfield, and so Liverpool can get the job
Although
done.
on current form, it's probably nice to get away.
You're like, actually, it's a strange one, because I don't know what's happened at Anfield. I haven't been at the last 2 games. The atmosphere feels a bit subdued. Maybe there's a feeling of maybe complacency or fatigue. It's hard to judge. But I think quite simply, you come into this game, you travel to Italy. Atalanta have conceded 4 before this season. It was against Inter Milan in February, so it's been a while since they've conceded 4. Wow. So Liverpool do need a miracle. It's not a case of it's Atalanta and they were lucky in the first leg. Atalanta were superb.
So what went so wrong in that first game?
So many things. I think Atalanta piled down Liverpool's left side because Tsimikas played at left back and Tsimikas was half fit. So I didn't personally agree with Tsimikas starting. That was part of the issue. Gakpo played off the left. Again, I didn't think that was great. Harvey Elliott played at right wing. I think the balance was just off. The balance really shifted. And Atalanta were just constantly cutting the ball back. Crystal Palace did the same because Liverpool's midfielders currently are not tracking their men into the box. Right. And so when you've got Koop Miners who attacks that area really well, and Scamacca, who although he's a number 9 that stands in the middle of the box, he tends to drift near post and back post, and that's where problems are caused. So there were so many things wrong with that game, so many things.
And it's a weird one, and the stats kind of do paint a bit of a picture of the fact that 70% possession for Liverpool, obviously game state will affect that a little bit, but then when you have the 7 big chances, 5 big chances were missed. It's in defensive transition that you really struggled against Atalanta, and their directness seemed to really open you guys up. There didn't seem to be that same kind of control that you've seen over the season. Although I guess the thing that's interesting here, if we do actually take away results, because obviously 2 bad results, you go, this is horrific. There's been a lot. It's been a hectic season. Like the football has been chaotic, and there's been a lot of last minute wins. There's been a lot of pressure on Virgil van Dijk and whoever his partner is, and Endo in front of them to sort of deal with it a lot of the time, and on this occasion they were just a little bit too clever for them. Yeah,
and I think also with that in mind, the sort of mishmash defence that Liverpool have played throughout the entire season over and over again. I mean, the defence against Atalanta was Gomez at right back. He hasn't played right back this season. Konate, who's half fit, Van Dijk and Tsimikas. It's 2 new characters in the defence again, and Kelleher in goal, who did make 2 mistakes for 2 of the goals, and I can't criticise him because he's been very good. I do think, though, the big changing factor in this fixture is Trent. Because although Liverpool have been creating chances, and the Palace game aside, that Atlanta game, I didn't feel like Liverpool created absolute clear chances. There were moments created by players. Trent gives you absolute clear chances, and Jota should be fit and should definitely break through the middle. But I also think that Trent, Elliott, Salah trio is the way to go, because I think Elliott's been unbelievable this season when he's been called upon. And then I think that finally will allow Salah to come inside. So
you drop in Szoboszlai for this?
I would probably play... Yeah, I wouldn't say he's struggling per se, but I just think he makes the wrong decisions too frequently. Right. And I think you bring Curtis Jones in, a bit more control on the opposite side if you're going to play helter-skelter. And I put Mac 10 back in the 6, which is not where he'll blossom, but I don't think Liverpool's concern this game is stopping goals going. Of course it is, but Liverpool need to win this game, and I think the only way they will is if they win it 5-2. They're not going to win it 4-0.
Well, yeah, so if you look at Atalanta's home games this year, I think 14 home matches, 31 goals. So they do score goals at home. One thing on Liverpool, because obviously they want the Europa League. They wanted the quadruple a week ago. They want the Premier League, of course, as well. In terms of the fixtures, you've got Atalanta on Thursday, because you were talking about Trent there. You've then got Fulham 3 days later. You've then got Everton away 3 days later. And sorry, Atalanta away, Fulham away, Everton away, and another 3 days later, 12:30, Jurgen, sorry, you've got West Ham away again.
Where do you rotate? Where is the rotation?
Well, yes, exactly. So when it comes to Trent, I think we both agree he should have played against Crystal Palace. That was a missed opportunity to kind of get that match fitness, to control a game at Anfield as well, which I think, look, again, if you strip it back, Liverpool should have won that game. They had the chances. There's some incredible saves from Henderson, a couple of incredible ones from Alisson as well. But overall, Liverpool could have won that game 4-1 on a different day. There is a bit of a tensing up there, it feels like. And I do think there's such a heightened emotion. There always is, but normally that's fuel. That puts you into a challenge state. I think if you imagine how Liverpool fans feel about Jurgen Klopp, imagine being a player for him.
Yeah.
You must be so desperate to do that for him. So you have that with the change and that inexperience with some of those players. There's going to be a few moments where there's a problem. Generally, they are still creating so many chances. Should have beaten Man United. Should have beaten Crystal Palace. The Atalanta game, look, that was different, fair enough. And they got undone by Gasperini and a bit of a masterclass there. But is there any world where Klopp goes, Europa League's gone, and saves Trent because you've got to win those games, focus on the Premier League? Could we see that either at the start of this game or at any point in this game?
I think at some point in this game, if this game is 0-0 at half-time, I think Klopp says...
That's not Klopp though, is it?
Yeah, that's partially the problem, because I think he will still be telling himself and the players, we can win both. And I think you've got to pick which one you can win here. If you think you can win the Europa League 3-0 down against Atalanta, and then you have a better chance of doing that than winning the next 3 away games in the Premier League, then go full throttle in this and then rotate against Fulham. Yeah. And actually, let's pie it off properly. Let's not do this half business. The problem for Jurgen Klopp has been he's going to do the half business. And I think he'll rotate in a few places in this side for this game.
Really?
And we'll sort of go, I should have started this guy, because it's the hope that kills you. But Liverpool have to start well. That's been a problem all season. They start really slowly in games.
So say Liverpool can't win this one, right? But they can gain some kind of a momentum, and they can get some players kind of getting their confidence up a little bit so that you can get yourselves going. Who are the key players that you desperately want to play and play well?
Jota for sure. Because there needs to be a bit colder in front of goal. Salah needs to get going desperately. And then probably one of the midfielders. Liverpool have leaned on McAllister too much, and it's got to a point where I think you need Szoboszlai or Curtis Jones or Harvey Elliott, one of those guys, to become a regular fixture. So those would be the 3.
What's wrong with Salah right now?
I mean, I have to text him and find out, because I've got no idea.
Really? There's always a discussion about his overall play because his output is so strong.
What do you think there's something wrong with him?
I think he could do with having Trent there with him. I think if the whole team's playing a little bit better, that would be useful. I think Africa Cup of Nations, both times, like the only blip we've ever had with him, the Premier League has ever had with him, has been on those occasions where it's kind of totally stunted his momentum, and then he's kind of come back and, I don't know, he's always scurried about a little bit, but there's just been a bit more quality to him, because he was poor against Man United as well. I don't know either. I think as a collective, the whole team's not in flow right now, but also it's one where, do you know what you need? This Atalanta game's annoying because you might give absolutely everything, beat them 2-0, and it's pointless. Yeah. And then you'll go and play Fulham 3 days later. What you really probably need is... See, that's why we want to be Jurgen Klopp. I don't know what the right strategy is. What if out of this week, by the end of the Fulham game, you want to have pumped Fulham 5-0?
Yeah.
That's what you really want, I think. Because, look, if you can go to Atalanta, how do they win it? I guess the way they win it is they score early. I think the 70% possession is a good thing, obviously. With Trent in the team, you've got a bit more cutting edge in terms of your passing. So if Liverpool can get a goal in the first 30 minutes...
the tide changes.
It's on.
Yeah, the tide changes. Liverpool's XG before the Palace game was 9.14 in the previous 3 games. I don't even know what the XG was in the Palace game. I think it was about 3.4. So we're at about 12 XG in 4 games. They didn't win any of those 4 games.
Yeah.
So Liverpool have the capacity to score the goals, which is why I said earlier, this ends 5-2. This doesn't end like 3-0. It's not going to be clean. They just can't concede first. Because imagine you start your starting 11, you concede first, the tie's actually then officially gone.
I think Trent has to play if you want to have any chance of this. Because what I was thinking on the drive here, I was thinking, this is a game where you're like, when Henderson scores and
Yeah.
you're missing Henderson a little bit, and those sort of personalities a little bit, I think, for an opportunity like this. And so Trent actually, I think we've seen him this year kind of take on some of those characteristics. And so if he comes in, gets on the ball, scores a screamer, and you get going, then momentum's a crazy thing, right? But it's a massive, massive ask against an Atalanta side who shut us all up last week. So will it happen?
I think it'll be 3-1. I think Liverpool can't stop conceding, but I think they'll play really well, and I think the missing chances thing will switch. Like, I'm hoping it switches off.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's 4 shots on target, 3 goals, and I'll leave a happy man.
I think it'll peter out a little bit. I think it'll be 2-1 to Liverpool. And I think they might get the first goal, but they might get it a little bit too late. And Atalanta will be able to show something, because defensively Liverpool have just been a little bit all at sea. But what do you guys think? Do you believe there is a miracle coming for Liverpool? Let us know.